You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. For the past few years, the retail automotive industry has navigated through some of its most challenging yet transformative times. Today we're catching up with the owner and dealer principal of Volvo Cars Memphis and Norcross Mazda of Memphis, Ernie Norcross, to learn more about how his dealerships are faring in today's climate. So thank you so much, Ernie, for joining us on the show once again.
Good morning, sir. Good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. And thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time with
sir.
us. So how is business today at your dealerships?
Well, right now it's challenging, but we're hanging in there. The challenging piece, obviously, is when you got interest rates the way they are, and then after COVID, so we're post-COVID, so we're having to learn to be in the car business again. I think you'll see that across the nation and dealers all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. And now, as we were talking about before we got recording, it's kind of back to basics. It's you got to sell the value in the car. You got to do the walk-arounds. You got to do the demo drives. You got to do the trial closes. You got to get them in the box to work F&I, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're back to the blocking and tackling. You're back to the basics. And during the COVID age, like we mentioned earlier, that the value selling kind of went away. You had vehicles that were out there, and you had a limited supply. So the supply and demand has flipped the other way now.
Yeah.
So we're back to doing the car business the way we used to do it.
Sure. Now you've got two different brands there. One brand said we're going to take a little wait and see on EVs, while the other one, Volvo, said no, we've got a pretty good line of EVs. What's your take on the EV market, and are consumers coming in wanting EVs, whether it be Volvo or Mazda?
Well, we're seeing, the consumer, the EV market certainly is there. There's a lot of stress on the EV market just because of infrastructure and then also in what the range is. So you have those frustrations with the market itself. We're in the South, so we're kind of a little, the infrastructure is a little bit more difficult down here because we don't have it. And then obviously the range is going to affect you because to go anywhere in the South takes you a while to get there. So, in doing that, but we are seeing that customer, we have two different brands that look at it differently.
Yeah.
The Volvo brand is all in on EV. Mm-hmm. They're heading in that direction. So we're getting that feedback from that brand. They're taking a look at it in a hard way in regards to, mild hybrids, and then, all 100% electric. And then on the other side, you have the Mazda franchise that's looking at it differently. They kind of have that Japanese OEM approach that if the customer's there, we'll be there.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing two different sets of that. So that's refreshing for us because we have both of them.
Yeah, sure. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your used car department. How is it performing? Where are you getting cars from? How do you see the values of those cars? Are they increasing? They decreasing? What are some of the challenges there?
Well, for us, going through COVID, during that, it's post-COVID time in regards to that. Obviously, for us, it's the acquisition piece. We've kind of looked at it a little differently and hired an individual that just is in the acquisition piece, and they take the data that's out there and be able to acquire the cars and be able to use that data to try to move the inventory quicker. And then we're relying on both OEMs, both Volvo and Mazda, to be in the certified pre-owned. There are vehicles coming back. In Volvo's situation, because of COVID, the leasing was not as much, went down during that time. So you're seeing the availability of the Volvo is getting smaller versus in Mazda, certainly they are a brand, the 300,000 vehicles they sold. So there are some out there. So we think that there's a good opportunity and a good upswing for us in the CPO and used cars.
Sure. And so talk to me about leasing for a bit. Is it back to pre-COVID levels in your stores? And obviously on the Volvo side, that's probably more of a leased vehicle, right? Or where does that stand?
Well, when you see MSRPs going the way they are, leasing is going to be a big part of that.
Yes.
And so we realize that as those are creeping up, leasing is going to have to become a big part of your portfolio.
Yeah.
And obviously getting back to presenting that on every deal, making sure every customer knows the pathway to ownership can go with a lease, especially with, the fully electric vehicles. There's some uncertainty there. There's some uncertainty in regards to, what's that battery life afterwards and all that type of thing. So we're seeing leasing be a big part of our business that we have to really get back into and start training and make it a focus piece for our stores.
Sure. How far, in terms of percentage today versus 2019, are you close to that number in the stores, or do you still have some work to do?
Well, we still have some work to do to get back there. Obviously, interest rates have certainly allowed you to get back into leasing a little bit, and it takes the OEM to certainly support it.
Yeah.
We're seeing that from Volvo. They're actually getting into that leasing business, understanding that's a big part of it. And then on the Mazda side, we're seeing that also.
Yeah, that's great. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about your fixed ops department. How is that looking with the average age of today's consumer keeping their cars for an average of 12.6 years? The people that I'm talking to around the country are saying their service departments are just doing phenomenal business.
Well, we're doing the same here in Memphis. We're seeing our both Volvo and Mazda. We've been a Mazda franchise now for 3 years, and the two dealers that we acquired to make into one store in Memphis, the UIOs in Memphis, units and operations, weren't as strong, and so we're starting to see things as we're starting to get our volume where we need it to be.
Yeah.
On our Volvo side, it's a loyal brand. The consumer is there, and they're loyal to their dealer network, and we're seeing that at numbers we've never seen.
There's a number of groups out there that are doing this mobile service where, the van comes to the home and fixes certain things on the vehicle. Are you doing any of that mobile service?
Well, it's funny you say that. We're in a NADA 20 group, and I just got back from our meeting last week, and a lot of dealers are looking into that.
Yeah.
We do not do that, but we feel that is something that is probably going to be another step for us to meet the customer where they want us to meet them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
It is interesting to see how some of these things came out of the COVID years, whether it was needed for a consumer to have the vehicle service at their house, or it was just a desired structure. But some of these things that have lasted beyond COVID, including, buying cars off the road that we saw so much more of, where, dealers got into that in a big way. Do you do that as well? Do you buy cars from consumers off the road? And
we do, and part of our acquisition in the individual that we hired was acquiring them through our service department.
Yeah.
Trying to have an aggressive approach to that, to tell a person what the value of their car is today,
right,
what's out there, what opportunities, and that type of thing. So we're seeing a lot of that. We're acquiring cars off the street also. So it's a big part of what we're doing, just to get in that acquisition phase.
Sure. In terms of the crazy election time that we find ourselves in right now, does that have any impact in your business at all?
I'm 35 years in the car business, and I can tell you it always has an impact. It's the climate is just different. Consumers come in, they're frustrated and they don't know why, so it does affect it. It's in the South, you kind of say, the kindness of the South, but it seems like it does affect it even down here. So we're seeing some of that.
Yeah.
That it's going to affect it. Interest rates play a big role in where we're at in regards to that. And then just the climate, through November, we'll see how that comes out.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of dealers that I've spoken to said that they wish that the OEMs didn't get away from some of the sedan vehicles, because those today are maybe the cheaper vehicles out there, or I should say the more affordable vehicles out there for families. Where do you stand on that? Do you find that people on the Mazda side especially are coming to you saying, hey, we're looking for lower price vehicles because this $50,000 average price of a new car is crazy?
That's one of the things that in our acquiring the Mazda franchise we're excited about. Obviously the delta between an entry-level Volvo and an entry-level Mazda is there, and especially in our market in Memphis. And so, they do have some, vehicles that come in at the right price market, for us. And we're seeing that in Mazda, the sedans, and also their small sport utilities. When you have a vehicle in the mid-20s, that makes a huge difference, for a market like Memphis.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as you're sitting there today, what's your greatest concern about your dealerships and maybe the industry as a whole? What are some of those things that you think might be lurking around the corner that dealers need to focus on?
Well, I think the first thing for us is, obviously we're a family-owned and operated business. Mm-hmm. My son Trey is the general manager of the Mazda store, and he would probably say to you, as the next generation, as the data and digital and the things that change, and old guys like myself, he reminds me all the time that we don't do paper stuff anymore, and so he would probably tell you it's the people side of it. Is getting people in our industry that are excited and motivated and want to be in it. And for us, it's about getting the people that meet the culture, that what we want to present as a family-owned and operated business.
Yeah. I
think as a 30,000-foot view to the industry, I spent quite a few years on the retail advisory board for Volvo, and I will tell you that the industry is changing so fast in this this BEV or bust has been a little concerning for us as dealers. And I'm sure OEMs also, because they've invested a tremendous amount of money, and the consumer is going to decide where that goes. So it'll be interesting to see where the consumer heads in regards to the industry in the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Speaking of the next 10 to 15 years, and you just mentioned that you've got your son and it's a family-run operation, do you see yourself acquiring more dealerships?
That's a great question. I will tell you that Trey and I talk a lot about, what our future looks like in our strategy. And we've kind of adopted a grow where we're planted. We feel like, we've been planted here in Memphis, Tennessee, and this is where we'd like to grow. So if we had an opportunity, we certainly would. But we also see the people side of that as a hard, key to that puzzle to acquiring other stores.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we don't jeopardize our people. A lot of times you'll see people start in a growth pattern and they'll jeopardize the mothership to grow. Yeah. And we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We've been here a long time, and we want to make sure that we're still presenting the product that we have, to the consumer now.
Sure. Probably not a month goes by you're not getting a phone call from some broker out there saying, or maybe somebody in the acquisition field of a large group that goes, hey, you got two great franchises there. You thinking of selling?
I get that question all the time, and certainly, it's we have no intent of selling. We want to be here for a long time, and I'm a first generation dealer, so I had to bet the farm to get here. So we want to stay here for a while. And certainly Trey has grown up in the business. He's been doing it since he was 15 years old, washing cars in the back, and he's in his 30s now and loves the business. So I don't see us doing that anytime soon. That's
right. Well, that's fantastic. You got your son working in the business. Nothing could be more rewarding, and I'm there myself. My kids are in our business, but it's a pretty special setup. You feel like you're going on vacation every day that you walk into your office, right? Where you got your kid working there.
He may not think it's a vacation every day, but we certainly spend a lot of time together. We're equally yoked, and he loves the business, which is a great opportunity for a father to have a son that grows up in the industry that he loves the business. He's very well connected in the business. He's earning his own stripes now, which is nice to see him grow and do that. So we see our future is awfully bright. We do.
That's awesome. What's your take for the balance of the year? Here we are in August of the year, and there's different feelings as to how we're going to end up. But you think we're going to be closed strong, or what?
For me, I didn't see the SAR lately, what they're anticipating the new cars to be. But for us, we think there's a lot of opportunity in the used car side of it. We're growing our Mazda business. We had a great month. We did 75 new Mazdas last month.
Wow.
So we feel that's got a great opportunity and an upside there. We think the year's going to be strong finish for us. On the Volvo side, it's about product. It's about getting the product here. We have a new car coming out in the EX90. Mm-hmm. They kicked the can down the road on the EX30 till next year, bringing it in. They throw tariffs like that at you, and you're an OEM that's outside the tariff market. It makes it tough on them. But we do see an upside in Volvo. We just think we got to get back to blocking and tackling and get back to doing what the car business is all about.
That's right. No truer words have been said. Ernie Norcross, owner and dealer principal, Volvo Cars of Memphis, and Norcross Mazda of Memphis. Hey, does Elvis ever come in there and ask for a demo drive or anything?
He does, but we try not to publicize it too much. He's in. It's a big deal when he does come, but we try not to publicize it too much. He's getting a little older. He's getting a little older and can't handle excitement.
I was gonna say.
Doesn't move as well as he did before.
No, he's got to be in like his 80s now, right?
Yeah, but we don't like to publicize it. He's one of our customers. That's right.
All right, thanks so much, Ernie. Really appreciate it.
All right, yes, sir. Thank you for calling.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.